Witchers, welcome back to the Witcher Lorecast. This is the show where we cover all the wonderful things about the Witcher universe, from the show to the books to the games. And this week, we are discussing our predictions for Season 2 of The Witcher show. This is your host, Tom, or Robots, and I am back not only with my wonderful co-host, Toasty of Toaster, Bergentonshire. That was a weird amalgamation of some of the previous ones.
It definitely was, but I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm more okay with that than some of the other ones.
I mean, I could use Toastaria from one of our reviews we're going to read out today.
You could do that too. That's fine.
Yeah. But when I say we also have our patrons here. Some of our Leshens decided to join us for today's show. So we're going to introduce them. We have coming back our OG Leshen, Ben of Temeria. He's here. Ben, how's it going, buddy?
I am doing fantastic.
Fantastic. And are you ready to talk about Season 2?
Of course. I'm always we're ready to talk about Witcher.
Of course. I that's kind of a silly question at this point, but
his name's Ben of Temeria.
And then we have one of our new Leshens coming in to join us. Sebastian, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Tom. Things going all right over here, and fun to be on the show.
Yeah, welcome. This is your first show, and an exciting show for you to be joining us, because we're on the verge of Season 2, and by the time we have our next patron show, we might be talking a post Season 2 episode where we're talking about the things that actually happen. So this is our one opportunity to be talking about the things that we expect to happen in some of our predictions. And I think what might be fun to do in this episode is make these predictions, and then we can laugh at ourselves on the next episode, the next patron episode, and see how accurate or inaccurate we were with our predictions, which is always fun. So why don't we kick this off, guys? Because Toasty and I, we've been recapping a lot of these episodes, and man, it's so much fun to go back through Season 1. This show is so good, especially after we've been digging into the lore of the show and the games and the books, and then watching the season again and catching a lot of the nuances that we missed. I missed them the first time, and catching some of the things I didn't notice, and then watching some of the trailers for Season 2 and going, oh, look at this. Oh, this is going to happen, and getting so excited about it. Do you guys, let's just start with this. On a scale from 1 to like through the roof, where is your hype level at for Season 2?
Oh God. It's probably to the sky at this point.
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
You're pumped. You ready? Like if it was out right now, you'd be like, guys, I gotta go. Yeah, I'm gonna turn this on.
Sorry, you expect me to be here on this podcast myself? What? Tom, you'd be doing this by yourself if the season dropped right now. Sorry.
I'm binging it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm binging it like 3 times. I do not care.
Sebastian, how do you feel about Season 2 coming out?
Oh yeah, I'm excited. It's so much fun seeing these characters come to life, eh? So I'm looking forward to a couple of new characters and delving into the background story of a couple of others. So yeah, no, I'm definitely excited and definitely ready to go and watch. You guys recapping all the episodes are a good way of me also going back and watching them and then hear what you guys have to say about it. And sometimes it really, really helps, to sort of Toasty notices a few things about the timeline and stuff, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Oh yeah, no, that makes sense now, So yeah, no, look, definitely knowing more now about the things that you guys talked about. It really helps. That makes it more fun even to go and watch Season 2 now.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it helps me as well, because Toasty knows. I mean, I love the Witcher stuff. I know as much as I've learned a lot of that I can, but Toasty knows more than I do, which is part of the excitement for me to do the show. And some of the shows where I bring on my co-host who has more knowledge than I do, that's a lot of fun for me because I get to do the show and learn as well. But yeah, I totally get that. Like that's part of the excitement of me getting to do these shows every week, is that it's a learning experience for me as well, or doing, just some of the research or going back and watching some of the shows. We haven't had the chance.
Say something?
Oh, go ahead, Toasty. Yeah.
I I absolutely love the energy that you're putting out, Sebastian. I am like thriving on this right now. This is great.
So, Sebastian, we haven't had the chance to talk with you. Can you give us just kind of like the little elevator pitch version of how you came to learn about The Witcher and what your background is with the game or the books or the show?
Yeah, sure. No. For me, I'm a huge PC gamer. We've had, like, I'm 40 by now, you guys, and we've had a TV.
Me too.
Oh my gosh, a PC at our house since I was, I think, about 8, which made it like the first PC in my classroom. So I've been gaming ever since. I used to be I love Mass Effect and Dragon Age, all them BioWare games.
Yeah.
And I never could get into Witcher 2. I couldn't beat the tutorial. I don't know if you guys did.
Oh, I got through Witcher 2. I love Witcher 2.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
but that tutorial, man, I couldn't get through it. I got beat by that night. I was like, I'm doing something wrong. I can't even beat the tutorial, man. So I'm like, I was out of here. And after a while, you get bored and people start yapping. Yeah, Witcher 2 is really good. And then I read, you don't need to be able to beat the tutorial. It's crazy difficult at the end. So just go and enjoy the game. And that was all I needed. And I got into Witcher 2. Then Witcher 3 came out. I was right on the bandwagon right there. And in my opinion, it is the absolute best game out there. It's just so good. I mean, everything you do changes the world you're in. You get to learn so much. When I was really sold, that one quest where, spoilers ahead, as you guys say, it's like a little side quest. You have to get Dandelion. He's frolicking off with some woman who has to do the stage direction, I guess, for his new, club. So you go there, and it's crazy story. Love it. You have to negotiate with the husband, and then his Priscilla. When he comes to the club, Priscilla is not there. Like, all right, I'm gonna get Priscilla, and I was dragged into that side quest, and like 4.5, 5 hours later, I was like, I thought this was a side quest. Nope. And they do that with the simplest things. Like, there's a story about the griffin, and then you go into that whole thing, and then it turns out to be bigger, and so on. Amazing. And I fell in love with The Witcher right there and then. Yeah.
I have a feeling that's what it's like to be Geralt. You're like, oh, this is just going to be some tiny little thing I got to do for Dandelion. And then all of a sudden you're like, weeks later, you're like, oh my God,
no.
I'm never helping you again.
It's never small when it comes to Dandelion at all. And so, but that's definitely really interesting. I think you don't often hear someone who started with something that wasn't The Witcher 3, because most people get brought in on The Witcher 3. It's very interesting that you started on The Witcher 2 and then came into 3. That's really cool. So,
yeah.
So, see, I'm working my way through Witcher 1. Does it ever get better?
The stories are good. The gameplay is difficult, right? That's the hard part, right?
That's a difficult question to answer right now.
I mean, 1, is it the Witcher universe? 2, there's your answer. But also the first 2 games, the controls and stuff are a lot less intuitive because they are older. So it is a bit of a struggle. It's understandable, but it is worth playing. So.
I also want to add that my main hope for Witcher 3 after Witcher 2 was getting to meet Yennifer. But that was a big mistake. When I started playing Witcher 3, I found out, it's like, what is that crazy woman doing there? And why was Geralt ever crazy about her,
That's why she's so fun.
Yeah, the verbal abuse is fun to you, Tom?
Oh, she's fun. Yeah. She's nuts.
And that's where the books come in.
Yeah. Oh, she's a spitfire.
I'll put this out there right now. If you're a Witcher fan and you don't think that Yennefer is verbally abusive, you're wrong. Do I pick her over Triss every time? Yes, I do.
Yeah, she's a spitfire. Absolutely. Well, okay, so bringing this back around, speaking of Yennefer and some of the wackiness that's going to ensue, we've had some trailers. We've broken down the trailers on this show, and Toasty and I have talked about some of the things that we think are coming for season 2. Do you guys have some theories about where season 2 is going and what you expect to happen? And here, why don't we start it off with this? Knowing what we know about season 1 came to a close. We finally have Geralt and Ciri together. We have Yennefer in a tough situation. We know that she and Fringilla are bound up by some elves. They're being marched through a forest. And this seems to be the scenario we're in at the beginning of season 2, right? Based on the trailers. That's pretty much where they're leaving us off, it appears. Where do you think this is going? And Sebastian, do you want to start first? Because I know Ben is a big book nut, right?
Yeah.
And I have a feeling Ben's gonna chime in with some like, well, according to the books, it's gonna go here. But why don't we start with Sebastian, based on what you think where things might be going, based on your understanding of things.
I'm just gonna let you in a little secret. I bought one of the books. I was looking and I knew his name was Sapkowski, so I was looking before the show to go, what book I bought. It was called Blood of Elves, and I know Toasty is going to take me down any second now, but I can't get through the book, man. I was like, what?
Well, it jumps all over the place. It's a bunch of individual smaller stories.
Well, that's
I'm sorry.
It's not the first one.
No. Blood of Elves is the novel. Right.
Yeah, that one's actual. So,
that's Last Wish is the stories. That's the first one that's just the stories.
Yeah. I thought that was the first one, or someone said it was the first one.
The first one is the Last Wish.
Last Wish is the first one.
The second one is Sword of Destiny. You're on the third one right now.
Yeah. The way they published it was really weird because they put a 1 on the book spine for Blood of Elves, and they never touched like, oh, hey, you need to read these 2 before you need to read this one.
Some of the timelines are really out of place. Like the most recent book is Season of Storms, and it takes place 3rd chronologically in the series. So it's like, okay, cool. But no. So I would recommend The Last Wish, and that will probably answer your Yennefer question, by the way. Why he's crazy about her. So there you go.
Sounds good. So I guess
you got to get all the way through it.
Just so everyone knows, I'm not. You guys are the experts, and one of the fun things with this podcast is for me to hop on and hear about all the things you guys have been. The book knowledge, and then it's kind of like the Geralt episode you guys did, and you're like, yeah, that's spoilers. Are we gonna tell? And I'm like, please do, because I have no idea. I want to know this stuff, but I guess I'll have to go and read. So just so everyone knows, I haven't read the book, so I have no clue where this is going. So it's all speculation for me.
That's what we're here for.
So feel free to speculate, and then we're Ben will chime in with a little bit more. So regardless of how much you've read about the books, there's always going to be some level of speculation, because the show is going to take the information from the books, but it's always going to twist it in a way that it works for the series, just like it did with season 1 of the series. Season 1 of the series and the books are not 100% parallel.
Right.
So it's gonna work out in a certain way, and we don't know how far into the story season 2 is going to go.
Well, what I would like to see, I mean, in Witcher 3, Yen is completely up the Nilfgaard bandwagon, and it was really fun to see her spurn her time in the series, right? So I'm kind of curious as to, I mean, it's a very strong it's a kind of, it's Geralt centered, but it's really a lot of powerful women that are vying for the, it's very strong. There's so many strong female characters. So I'm really looking for, you asked, Tom, about Yennefer and where that was going. Well, I'm personally hoping that we can see a little bit more of her connection with Nilfgaard and,
the Lodge of Sorceresses, gets, all of that stuff
on Amir's bandwagon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's her connection to the rest of the sorceresses, her rivalry in a way with Fringilla. I think some of that's going to play into it.
Yet, right?
No, it has not been made yet.
Right, but the women who become the Lodge all have. You're right. They are very powerful. They're very. They all play a part.
That's gonna be insane,
right? Like they're all powerful women who are vying for control, and they're all playing a part in this story. And we've met a lot of them already. So how that plays out, I think, is a really cool topic. So I think you've got a cool point.
Are we going to see that in season 2?
It's I don't know. I don't think so. Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
No, I was going to agree with you. Like, I don't think we'll see. We'll probably see, like, if anything, we'll see like a hint to it towards probably the end. But I mean, even then, like it's still according to like in the book, it is a little bit later to when they do make the lodge.
But Francesca's are in it too,
right? We've already seen dissent. Like even in season 1, we see the politics brewing underneath the surface, right? We see that the different sorcerers, the women, the men, the different groups are all like politically motivated by different things. We can see the fractures forming. The same way that we can see fractures in the politics between the Nilfgaard and the kingdoms in the north and the things that are kind of forming there. We see it happening among the mages.
Yeah, I can see them like maybe put in the groundwork for it. Underneath.
I think we might see like what leads up right before that.
Yeah, because I mean, Philippa is supposed to be in the season too, and she's a huge part of it.
But she was in the stories too, with before or in the books before the lodge was built.
True.
Which I want to see her owl form. That's all I'm thinking about. Now about Philippa. She can turn into an owl, and I'm very excited to see.
Toasty called it.
Maybe we got to keep an eye out for an owl's like hidden in trailers.
She's not blind in this one.
No, she's not.
Yeah, she only gets blinded in the games.
Yeah.
Interesting, but she's with Redania, right?
In the games. In the game, she was.
Yeah, will be with Redania.
She will be Redania, yeah.
Books, yes. Or in the show. We're talking about books too much.
Books, show, tomato.
Well, it all connects together, right? Like when it comes to speculating for season 2, really the only thing we have to draw on is what happens in the books or what is referred to historically from the games, because the games take place after. So like we've got this, like it's almost like we have these lights. We have the light of the book shining into this, and we have the light of the game shining backwards into this, and we have the light from season 1 shining forward into it. So we've got to kind of just like, it's like we have all these shadows, and we have to kind of play shadow puppets.
Mishmash puzzle.
We have this weird mishmash shadow puppet puzzle that we have to piece together and go, okay, what kind of figures can we form here out of this weird shadow puzzle, right? So when it comes to, that might be what's going on with the mages, potentially. What do you think is going on with Geralt and Ciri? Where do you think this is going to go? Like it seems at the beginning that we have something happening with Geralt and Ciri going to Kaer Morhen. That seems like this is obviously where this is starting. Ciri is now taking things a little bit more seriously. It seems that she begins her training. We get montages of her like training and running and doing those kinds of things. Where do you think this goes?
Well, I'm for when you play the games, there's this really adorable scene where Ciri, you're in Kaer Morhen and Ciri is training and doing all these difficult exercises, and you're chasing her around the ramparts and stuff. So she seems a lot younger in the game than, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm not really sure. Maybe she's about as old now as Geralt was when he was done with Vesemir. Although with the new, I'm not really sure, but she's a bit older now, it seems, and she has a lot of stuff to catch up on. I thought she was a little naive in the first season. First season. Yeah. Right. She seemed really naive, and her character seemed, to me at least, a little bit out there. Like they didn't quite have a path to set her on, the path to set her on. But now I'm really hoping that her character will become a bit more solid. I don't know if you guys recognize this, about her being a bit all over the place, very.
Oh, yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
Oh, she was
kind of at least the point. Like, they definitely made her more significant, like seeing kind of like the stuff that she went through at the same time, because like that was all show. Like that was all something that the show did. They never, like, the books are about Geralt and then Geralt's interactions with other people pretty much, but you don't get to see much of like the other people in the books. So that was all, they made it all about her. And yeah, she was very, I mean, I can't blame her. She, she lost everything and then was like, hey, go find this guy. This guy is your destiny. And she's like, okay, cool. Let me just go look around the world for this guy.
Yeah. Well, she was a teenager who was royalty, so she was kind of used to having her way. She was used to a fairly comfortable life.
But she's hanging out with the street kids, Tom. And
she was trying. I think you got the sense that she was trying to. You got the sense that she was kind of pushing back on her station in life, but she was like, in so many of these stories, you have like the wealthy kid, the aristocracy who's like pushing against the thing, but it really, until they're actually in a situation where those things are strapped from them, like taken away from them, they have a golden parachute. They never really know what it's like to be the street kid. And it's until that is fully taken away from her and she actually has to run away from home and live in the wilderness and fight for her own safety, she genuinely doesn't know what that's actually like until she actually has to do it. And so by the end of the season, she's a little bit more versed in that. She's a little bit more serious. She's a little bit less haughty and I'm a huffy teenager, and then she's a little bit more serious and a little bit more like realistic about it. And I think we're going to see that transformation continue. I think that Geralt's going to have to deal with that like huffy puffy teenager thing a little bit, and she's going to be like, suck it up. We got to get through this. Like there's going to be some of those like, tough, dad lines coming from him, like, I don't care about your feelings. We just got to kill the monster, or whatever. And then she's going to get to Kaer Morhen, and then they're really going to kick her butt with some of the training, be like, what's not going to care about you having a sore thumb? The Kikimora who's trying to eat your head, like that kind of stuff. And then she's going to get freaking badass because of it. And then she's going to start kicking things butts. I think that's just kind of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking forward to her learning different things from the different Witchers there, so that we can get to have a little look into what Eskel is like, what Lambert is like, and Lambert's going to pull some funny stunt. At least he thinks it's going to be funny, and Ciri is going to be all over it. And I'm really looking forward to that whole dynamic at Kaer Morhen.
Dude, I can't wait for one of them to try to like pull one over on her, and she just like punches him or something. Like there's going to be one of those moments where she just stands up for herself. One of those like, I'm just not taking it from you anymore, and she just socks one across the face. And then Geralt just like gives a big grin and goes, like approvingly. like I hope we get one of those moments. Mark that in my little prediction log somewhere. Like something like that's gonna happen. So
probably a good chance of that.
I think that's pretty solid. I mean, if I was writing the show, that would be one of those moments where she like totally whacks one of them across the face. We'll tell you what. Keep thinking about this. Think about some of the things that are going to happen at Kaer Morhen. And also, I want you to be thinking about we did have some insight into something dangerous that is brewing in Kaer Morhen in one of the trailers. I want to get some of your thoughts on this when we get back from the mid break, but we've got to thank our patrons, you guys, and we've got some reviews to read out. So we'll be right back.
Very well. Let us get this over with. Something has infested my vineyard.
Great. Let me go prepare my something oil then.
All right, so here we are with our patrons, 2 of our Leshen patrons. We have 3 other Leshen patrons who didn't seem to be able to make it this week. So hopefully they'll be able to join us next month for our patron episode. And we have a total of 11 other patrons that we need to say thank you to. So thank you to all of you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you, Toasty, and I really do appreciate your support. And if you've considered supporting the show, if we've helped you get through your workday, your workout, your commute to work, or working on those leftovers from Thanksgiving because you know you still have some leftover, or maybe you don't because you now hate yourself from eating too much. I'm sorry. Don't hate yourself that much because we all do it. It's going to be fine. It's totally okay. But if you were listening to podcasts while doing that, then go check out patreon.com/Witcher Lorecast and all the different tiers where you can get to join us on future episodes of the show or ad-free episodes or all sorts of other stuff. And we also have a review, actually 2 reviews to read out. One from E. Preston Gilliam in the United States, who wrote amazing podcast about all things Witcher, 5 stars. I have listened to a lot of other podcasts about The Witcher, and I must say most of them are elementary compared to this master's level Witcher podcast. P.S. Why not Toasty of Toastaria? That's what I was referring to at the beginning. How do you feel about that one, Toasty?
I mean, it doesn't quite roll off the tongue like Toasty of Toasterton Villopolis, but I'll keep it as a close second, We'll keep it as a close second.
Okay. We'll put it in our little Rolodex of potential Toasty names. But thank you again, E. Preston. Very much appreciate the review. And then we also have one from I Am the Buttercat. His name is good. Who is also our friend Genesis, who does the Rocket Club show on the network. 2 Girls, 1 Ship, where they talk about relationships in RPG games. And I'm sure they're going to be talking about some Witcher stuff on a future episode. And she's also in chat right now. Hi, Jen. Thanks for this review.
Hi.
This is awesome. Jen writes, "It's onion." This is a 5-star review. She writes, Tom said if I wrote the words, he would read the words. So here are the words I wrote for Tom to read. I have really enjoyed listening to this podcast each week. Lord Toasty McToasterston of Toastertonopolis is really well versed in the Witcher lore, and Tom's passion of connecting all the dots together between the TV series, books, video games, and the real world is really interesting to listen to. Thank you very much. I have listened more new things about characters. I'm sorry. I'm skipping over stuff. I have learned more new things about characters I love in the last few weeks than I did on my last playthrough. Keep up the great work, guys, and stay safe on the path. I am Geralt of Rivia. I should say it like Geralt does. I am Geralt of Rivia, and this is my favorite lorecast in Temeria. Genesis. Thanks, Jen. And if you would like to leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, you're welcome to do so. That really does help. And of course, if you do write words, I will read them out on a future episode. And you don't even need to listen on Apple Podcasts. All you have to have is an Apple account where you can go to the Apple site. You just search Witcher Lorecast Apple. It'll come right up and you can leave us a review. And that would be super helpful. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to our patrons. You guys are wonderful. We've got more season 2 speculating to do. So let's get back to that.
You smell of death and destiny, heroics and heartbreak.
It's onion.
Right, yeah.
All right, guys. So where we left off, things were kind of going down in Kaer Morhen. We get some scenes of all the almost all the Witchers with their potions. Their eyes are dark. They've got veins going on in their faces. The keep is shaking. There's some stuff going on. And we know this isn't like the siege of Kaer Morhen because that happened years before this. So that's not what's happening here. something's after the Witchers, or something's after something the Witchers have. Somebody's attacking, or something is attacking the keep. What do you think is going on here?
My speculation with that is probably, if you have not seen the anime movie for The Witcher, watch it. Because I feel like that is definitely going to play into season 2. If you know what's under the keep, something's probably down there.
Okay, so you're talking about the Nightmare of the Wolf.
Yes.
And the history where it goes into Vesemir and him discovering the mutagens and the use of
they had like
mutagens,
mutated, like monsters to create more work.
Right.
I feel like something was either not dead or was slumbering.
Oh, so
Like,
maybe
after they left.
Maybe somebody stumbles upon something and wakes it up. Maybe Ciri is creeping around and finds something.
Ciri, maybe another Witcher. Who knows? Like, because from the books, we know this is where you kind of see where it's diverging to where Netflix, the whole Netflix original stuff. So
the Netflix cinematic universe.
Oh yeah, and like we see a very prominent monster in the trailer. The Leshen, which is not in, it's only mentioned in the books. Like, there is no fights with the Leshen in the books, so that's something new. So it's going to be very, very interesting. And who knows? I mean, with this tree shaking, it could be the Leshen.
Right. Well, the Leshen scene we see in the trailers, they appear to be outside in the woods. It's Geralt and Ciri, right?
True.
And he's fighting. He's chopping the vines. Like, the roots are coming at him. The Leshen's like reeling up out of the ground, rah, looking all scary. But we don't see the keep, at least in that scene. But that doesn't mean that they weren't near the keep, or that there aren't multiple Leshens, or that they didn't lure it away from the keep, or it chased them into the keep, or, you know, like.
I
can give you a dozen reasons why these two things could be connected, right?
Playing the games and like reading the books, you know, Kaer Morhen's in a mountain pass surrounded by a giant wilderness of woods,
lots of forests. Right. So they could be a half a mile from where they end up, and they could just run to the keep for safety or something, and the Leshen follows. Like, that could be a thing. Like, they may not be prepared to fight a Leshen because, holy crap, you need to prepare to fight a Leshen. Right. So the smart thing to do might be run away in Monty Python style. Toasty, do you have any thoughts on this?
I don't think that it's going to be correct, but I really want it to be that big Cyclops thing that lives at Kaer Morhen. That's what I really want.
Old perky face.
Spear Tip.
It's our old
Spear Tip.
Spear Tip? Was that his name?
Spear Tip. Yep. Old Spear Tip. Yep.
You think Ciri stumbles into him? Yeah. The scene where Ciri's running across the cliff pass, and there's a cave. Do you think Ciri stumbles? I think
that's part of the trail is that portion that goes by him. I think so.
Yeah. You think Ciri stumbles across him, and then like he gets mad and then chases her back to the keep, and then they're like, "You're not supposed to go by Old Spear Tip. Everybody knows you're not supposed to wake up Old Spear Tip."
This is my prediction, right? This is my prediction. It's not going to be correct, but this is what I really want. I want there to be like just this like scene of like Ciri like running, and then like she stumbles into this like this area where he's sleeping. And, you know, it just like you get a look at her face. She's terrified. Then we just cut back to, you know, Geralt's talking with like Lambert and Vesemir, and then they're just like, da 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 da. By the way, did you tell her about Old Spear Tip? And then Geralt just looks down. He's like, fuck.
Right. Nobody told her about Spear Tip.
Here's I mean, she was supposed to.
You didn't tell about. You didn't. I wasn't supposed to tell her. You were supposed to know. Guys, come on. Somebody's supposed to tell her about Spear Tip.
I just need the iconic. Iconic, you know, line there. That would be
right.
What about the Rock Troll twins? Like, she's not going to run into them and have like just a casual conversation with some rock trolls.
I would like to see casual conversation with the rock trolls. Honestly, they may be completely hideous, but I think they're adorable.
Yeah, they are pretty cute. Rob the Princess in chat says, I don't think we're going to see Geralt fight Leshen, but the thing is, Rob, you might have missed this in the chat. We've already seen it in the trailer. Geralt is
trailer
fighting
proof of Geralt fighting Leshen.
This is what is so exciting about this. The most recent trailer has footage of Geralt fighting a Leshen, so it's gonna happen, which is super exciting. But the question here is, does it happen at Kaer Morhen? Because there's a scene where Kaer Morhen is under siege by something, and the Witchers are all getting ready to fight something, and it doesn't look like just one of those like, Gary the Witcher in the back, who's the red shirt Witcher, go handle it. This is like all of them like ready to freaking drop something. Like it's big news kind of thing. Yeah.
So is it going to be a mutated Leshen?
Maybe.
Is that what we're calling?
Possibly.
I don't think so, given...
I mean, the way it looks.
Yeah.
It looks traditional-ish.
Traditional, right?
But Leshens are shapeshifters.
Yes.
Yeah, so I wonder how, like, because like obviously like graphic technology and stuff is like really like crazy now, but it's still like, if that thing tries to turn into like its raveny form, like how is that going to look like?
I don't know. I don't think we'll get too much transformation. I think we'll get a really cool scene with it in one form where a fight happens. That'd be my guess, because you get too much transformation, too much weirdness, and I think it'll throw the audience off. They'll be like, wait, it was a tree and then it was this thing. That's weird.
Yeah, and CG budget.
yeah. But like you do too much weird stuff and it breaks the audience's, I don't know, concept of the fantasy. You need to like walk them down the steps slowly on that kind of stuff. Otherwise it's just too far out there. Yeah, absolutely. So that's my question, is like, what is happening at the keep? Because we got that sense of like what's happening at the keep there.
It could also be, I mean, like we do see Triss come back in the new trailer.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's like she's trying to get into the keep and they don't know who it is, and like she pops out of nowhere, kind of a thing?
She's like knocking on the door and they're
it's just this super successful everything, and it's like just Triss. It's like,
why do you knock so hard, Triss?
Hey, who knows?
Triss, you knocked on the door and the whole keep shook. What is going on?
What is going on? I just used my knock spell. Did I just cast it too hard, guys? Yes.
Nah, guys. That it's really what it really is. That whole thing where you see like, the keep kind of like crumbling a little bit. It's just Geralt and Triss rocking the bed. That's what it really is.
That's it.
Oh, I don't want to say that. Come on, guys.
All the rest of the Witchers are just like in the corner, just like, whoa, Geralt, stop. Oh.
You're going at it again.
Oh, God, stop. Come on. Ciri's in the corner, just like, no, stop, Geralt. No. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, my new father figure. I don't want to imagine this. Yeah. All right. So speaking of Triss, we do get scenes with Ciri and Triss together.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think's going on there? Do you have any theories about that? Because they appear to be walking together quickly. Isn't there a scene where they're both like with horses? Are they traveling?
That's Yen.
Is that Yen?
The one in the horses.
Yen's with horses.
I withhold everything that I know of the situation.
Toasty's not talking about this part. Oh,
Sebastian, it's on you.
This is what we want, Give us what we paid for. We want
How about we get, because Ben knows too. He's read the books. So how about we hear your take on it?
Yeah, Ben, you go first, and then Toasty can chime in. Don't worry, Toasty will share some stuff too, but Ben can start.
Definitely magic training.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much I should get into the magic.
Just share. We'll start with this is spoilers for the books. So if you don't want to read the books, or you don't want absolutely more likely 90%, 100% likely stuff, then skip ahead. But go ahead. Go ahead, Ben.
So Ciri has a special type of magic to where she is and Toasty can correct me on this. Not conduit. It's source. Thank you. Different word. So where she can have the ability to use magic without giving anything in return, basically.
Right.
And she goes into it to where she has no control whatsoever. And we see that in season 1, where like she screamed and like everything just kind of went wild. To where that, like, in the books, the Witchers are trying to train her like to be a Witcher, and they have no idea what's going on. Trish shows up out of nowhere and it's like basically scolds them and yells at them. It's freaking hilarious. But and then tells him, "Nope, this is what you need to do. I'm taking control of her training now. Goodbye."
Yeah, you dumb Witchers. You have no idea what you're dealing with here. Also, she's a young woman. You need to treat her like a woman.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
It's like, you're only feeding her herbs and grass? What the heck?
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, remember the scenes when Yennefer's training and was it Fringilla who cast the spell?
Yeah.
And it drains the energy out of her hand, and her hand gets all crumpled
basically
up.
Dead.
Yeah, it like kills her hand in order to cast the spell. Well, traditionally, they have to draw the source of their power from something else, some other life source usually, right? But Ciri doesn't need to do that because superpowers. So, yeah. So you think that she's going to be training with Triss, and then there's going to be a connection later on where we've seen scenes where Geralt is reunited with Yennefer in the trailers. So do you think the three of them get back together? All three of them? Or are there going to be scenes where it's Ciri and Yennefer together without Geralt?
I can see it going both ways, to where, I mean, they could all be three together, but it's only going to be like for like maybe a couple scenes, if that. It's like Geralt, I have to go do something else, or Yennefer doesn't want to see him.
Right. But do you think it's going to be like
to direct attention to the episode titled "My Dear Little Friend"?
My dear friend, you mean?
Yeah, my dear friend, or dear friend, or whatever.
Dear friend. Oh, yeah.
Just point that Geralt and Yennefer will be seeing each other this season. Oh, that is guaranteed.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no, Sebastian.
No. My dear friend refers to, and this is another spoiler, it refers to the way Geralt refers to Yennefer while writing a letter. That's what it refers to. It's not a dirty reference. It is
playing Witcher 3.
Kicked off, you know.
So when you're playing,
I heard about that. Good.
Yeah.
You already let that cat out of the bag.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you're playing Witcher 3, the very beginning, that letter that Vesemir reads, it says, "Dear Geralt," and your friend Yennefer at the end. If you read it, it's freaking hilarious. Like, it's a nod straight to that too.
Right, because she's pissed that he refers to her as his friend.
Right.
Right, your dear friend, and she's like, "Friend." Yeah.
So obviously, they're gonna need to not tie up, but you know, the paths of the characters. They're journeying towards Kaer Morhen, but they're also journeying towards meeting one another and having their storylines intertwine. So that needs to be, in my, prediction, or what I think needs to happen desperately, is for these storylines to become more apparent, where everyone's going, what everyone's role is going to be. So they set everything up in the first season. As for me, I'm really interested to see, all those women meeting, what that impact's going to have on the group of guys in Kaer Morhen. That should be fun. Also, really looking forward to Triss's relationship with Ciri, because both you get the feeling playing Witcher 3 that both of the sorceresses have a unique relationship with Ciri.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And Triss seems to be more like a sister, and Yen more like a mother. I'm not sure if that's anywhere close to what the books are like.
Yeah, it's exactly where it is. Triss calls Ciri little sister, and then Yennefer is like her mother
figure.
Yeah. So Wow, you just hit the nail on the head, and you didn't even have that. That's amazing.
There you go.
Okay.
So we're gonna get. I think we're gonna get a sense of that in this season. We'll get a little bit more of the the older sister guiding Ciri, sharing the things she knows and kind of being an older sibling kind of guide, taking her under her wing kind of thing. But then we're also gonna get Yennefer feeling like a responsible parent. And
she obviously has those feelings of motherhood that, and as all things in life, sometimes we don't get the actual thing we want, but we get the spiritual thing that is at its heart whatever we wanted. So she might not become an actual mother, but her need to fulfill, it's going to be fulfilled in this season, and we'll understand why that whole, horrific scene. I think it was second episode or something like where her womb or whatever it was taken from her, and
there's that scene, and then the scene with the baby and the baby that she can't protect. Then when you go back and watch season 1, there's a lot of
really well done.
There's a lot of that, and I think it kind of gets overshadowed by some of the bigger events at the later part of the season. But there's a lot of there's a lot of parental neglect in her life, and then there's a lot of the ability for her to be a parent removed from her.
Yeah,
and that's a big theme for her, especially in the first half of this season 1. So, and they make that very apparent, is that she never feels parental love, and then she is completely removed from being able to be a parent.
Yeah, even to say, who she looks up to is, not playing straight with her. So it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be, sometimes you get the sense that there will always be something flawed in the way she will be a parent, but also the drive that, to become the best one there is.
Yeah.
And that'll be a really interesting, and it's great how they develop that character, and really looking forward to see that pay off in season 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Well put. Really, really well put. Well, is there anything else about season 2? I think my last question here, as we're getting closer to the end of the show, is where do you think season 2 will wrap up? What is the climax of the season? What is the what is the big moment, and where do we leave off? What's the big cliffhanger? What's the what is this all leading to?
See, the way they like to do things is they like to give you with that really suspenseful ending. But I'm trying to think about all the events that happened in the book, and it's like that's some of the stuff I'm coming up with. Like, that's way too far in the future. There's no way that they would do that yet.
Is there a moment? If this season is about them all coming together, is there a moment where that gets divided? Because that would make sense.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's probably more middle of the season, to be honest. Because,
unless the season is more developed, unless the events of the season don't go as far as you think they do.
I feel like it would be a really slow season then if they didn't push that far.
Okay, or maybe things go further, and
we can see him with Yennefer, right? So I guess they get maybe the riot stuff.
Possibly.
I don't know.
I can't remember if this happened in Blood of Elves or...
I'm just thinking of the Tower of the Goal right now.
That's what I'm thinking. That's the only thing that's coming to my mind.
Way too far in the future. It's way too far in the future, I think.
One of the things that was stated by Henry Cavill in an interview or a question that was posed to him was if... They basically said, how long are you committed to doing The Witcher? And he said, and I think he drew the number. He said,
it's like 7 seasons or something.
If they asked me to do 7 seasons, I would be on board for it. So I'm thinking the number has been thrown around that it would take 7 seasons to wrap up the story of The Witcher. So if you were to take the books of The Witcher and divide that across 7 seasons, does that mean 2 seasons per book ish? Roughly?
Depending on how much info they're going to take from the books, I could see that.
It depends
on the book.
Right. Like season 1 took a lot of the individual stories from Last Wish and turned those into individual episodes with some other stuff kind of thrown in.
Destiny. It was 2 books for season 1.
Yeah. So there's kind of a mix there. But then
I think this one is primarily Blood of Elves, though. I think it's primarily Blood of Elves.
So if you have 6 more seasons for 3 more books, then that's 2 seasons per book.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, when like getting to the later books, I can see them doing multiple seasons because there's a lot of like
more intricacies,
that and a lot of traveling. So I can see them diverging or like taking more time with that stuff going down the line.
Okay.
But hey, I'm just happy that Henry Cavill admitted that he wanted to do the role as long as he can.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm cool with that too.
Well, you guys were talking in the review of the trailer about Oxenford, and I think the story telling stories is always about a journey. So we've seen the journey that Ciri goes through into the forest. We see the journey, to Sodden, I guess, and now there's first going to be this journey towards Kaer Morhen, and there will be a call to action, I think. For them to somehow, like, I haven't read the book, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but if is Oxenford, they're going to have to go there. So there's going to be a call to action. They're going to go to Oxenford, possibly get Hall mixed up with Dijkstra and, all that spy stuff, Jaskier, and, well, something is going to come to a head there. And I don't know what big event could happen there. You guys are the experts, but maybe that's how the show will wrap up.
It's funny that you say that because that's probably going to happen this season.
I didn't know if you saw me and Ben's terrible poker faces. That is, oh my gosh. Are you sure you haven't read the books?
No.
I don't know if I believe you. You're getting some pretty accurate stuff here, and it's a little uncanny. You
didn't know what was going to happen. You were like, I'm thinking. I don't know what it could be.
I mentioned the Ryan stuff, which happens in Oxenford.
Okay.
And so, but it's just how like you were talking about it and where it kind of you basically right up the money. So it was like it's just
that is
crazy. It was,
yeah.
So do you think maybe that's the climax of the
I'm a
story?
Storyteller. So that's the only thing I can go on. That's what I would do.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That could be it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it would be the intense action stuff that they'd probably.
And you guys you said Oxenford, and that's the only way I know that is because I listen to the podcasts, and so it's been a lot of fun watching you talk for about an hour and a half on a simple trailer. Amazing.
Well, I guess we're doing an okay job then. And you've been paying a lot of attention, so that's awesome. Well, guys, I think that wraps up our speculation on this episode. We're going to have to see in just a few weeks how much of this stuff actually plays out the way we think it does. And it's nice to be a little bit humble on some of these things when they don't happen the way we think they do. So we're gonna find out. I'm sure we're gonna eat some crow, but also who knows? Maybe we'll be right on the nose with some of this stuff too. So guys, thank you for joining us on this episode, and thank you for supporting the show, and everybody for listening. And let's go back through and feel free to share anything that you're working on that you want to share with us, or ways that we can get a hold of you. And Sebastian, thank you for joining us. How can we get a hold of you, and anything cool you're doing?
Yeah, no, online you can get a hold of me. I'm running Triss Marigold cosplay on Instagram. So if you want to go check that out, especially if you cosplay Triss or have a friend who cosplays Triss, we'd be happy to feature her. And so that's one of my things I really enjoy.
Cool.
I'm a cosplayer myself, but I haven't dabbled into Witcher cosplay yet. And you need 2 swords, so it's going to be crazy expensive, as Toasty will probably be able to tell me.
Yeah, well, you could pick a different character. You could do like Dandelion or somebody.
Oh yeah, could be possibly. Yeah, maybe.
That's true.
Be fun.
Yeah. Then you just need like a loot and some really fancy purple
a lot of more
Or just make your own character like I did.
There you go.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Ben and Temeria. Yeah, for sure. So maybe that'll be in the future. I mean, events here, are a little bit far and in between now that COVID's,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that would be something. If I could do that, that would be great. So that's one of the passions I have, cosplay. Other than that, not much going on. So, yeah, but please check it out. Check out my Insta, and if you want to get a hold of me, feel free.
Awesome.
Send me a message.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. And then Ben, you got anything cool any cool stuff going on?
Not too much at the moment. I mean, you can always get a hold of me at Ben and Temeria on Twitter and Twitch. Hopefully I will start streaming maybe tomorrow or Wednesday again from this hectic week of Black Friday.
Yeah.
But then I will be hopefully here in the next couple weeks, probably finally do my Witcher photo shoot for my original character for Ben and Temeria. So it's a little cold up here in Ohio, but I'll deal with it. I got a cloak. That's all good.
There you go. You'll just be, just wear the snow clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Awesome. And then Toasty, you got anything cool going on you want to share?
Nope. No, I'm kidding.
Nope. I'm super boring this week.
I'm so very boring. No. Yeah. Follow us on Twitter at the Witcher Lorecast. Like we say every week. I say it. I don't know why. And then, I am, if you like Avatar, I am with the Fumbling 4 gang over at Avatar Legends Journey of the Elements. I just kind of want to shout out fellow podcasts Roll to Cast because they're doing a Witcher TTRPG now, and that's really cool. So if you like The Witcher and you like tabletop games, definitely go check them out because I know I am. Yeah. And all these other shows are on the Robots Radio Network, so you can go find links to them at robotsradio.net. And of course, my other shows, all the other Lorecasts. Coming up after this show is the Cyberpunk Lorecast. Usually we do that on Sunday nights, the night before this, but that got pushed back to tonight. So stay tuned for that. We will be discussing Ghost in the Shell because we've been discussing a bunch of different Cyberpunk movies with our patrons. So if you are into Ghost in the Shell or animes or cyberpunk movies, then you might want to stay for that if you're watching the live show, or if you haven't checked out the Cyberpunk Lorecast, you can go check that out as well. And you can find all my stuff over on robotsradio.net, all the different Lorecasts, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Cyberpunk, and what's the other one? Mass Effect. Those are the main ones I do along with this show. And come join me on the Robots Radio YouTube channel where I stream games in the mornings. And Ben and I've been hanging out playing. He's been jumping into the channel while I play Skyrim and modding out my game, playing Anniversary Edition. And Sheo Gorath has cursed my stream with his Wheel of Doom. I should just call it the Wheel of Cheese. Every time I jump in a new dungeon, we spin the wheel and it makes me have to do crazy stuff. And then anytime anybody donates to the stream, the wheel gets spun again. And then we just stack all the crazy things onto my gameplay. And it, of course, gets crazier and crazier. So it's lots of fun over there. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you again to all of our patrons. You guys are amazing. And everybody in chat, thank you for being here. We're going to go away for a little bit. I'll be back in the next 20 minutes or so with our patrons for the Cyberpunk Lorecast. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for being here. Later. Thanks for tuning into the Witcher Lorecast. We'd love to hear about your experiences with the games and the books and the TV series and all your thoughts on everything. Please check out the Robots Radio Discord and follow us on Twitter at Witcher Lorecast.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.